Okay, tonight we are going to be talking about um, expansion to the West, part one. The first question is, who were the leaders of the Corps of Discovery and what was their purpose? They were Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. Their purpose was to head west and to explore new countryside. What were the two Jefferson goals of Corps of Discovery? One, he wanted to he wanted to improve the ability for American merchants to access ports to China. And then two, he also wanted to establish a river route from St. Louis to Pacific. Another big important thing with him, because it was a new nation, he wanted to make United States look respectable against countries like Spain and Great Britain. He wanted to make America where they actually had claims to land and they could have their own say-so. Which of Jefferson's goals did the Corps ultimately accomplish? They did get to travel across the North American continent, and they, with Lewis and Clark, they actually made great relationships with the Native American tribes. They also were able to collect hundreds of species of plant and animals. That was something that Jefferson had an interest in. Also, most importantly, it also gave the territory, we were able to actually make an actual map of the United States of land that was claimed by the U.S. Now, what were the problems of the Spanish Florida present for their neighbors? It presented difficulties with the settlements of North American colonies, first from England and then from the United States. The biggest thing is Andrew Jackson. He had a grudge against the Creek and Seminole tribes. And so these tribes actually went down to Florida to try to escape him. However, realizing that Jackson was still after him no matter what, Spain took an offer from John Quincy Adams to purchase the land of Florida. Now, what actions of General Andrew Jackson ultimately led to the Adams-Onis Treaty? What he was trying to do, he was trying to prevent, instead of invading Florida to get after the Native American tribes, especially the Creek and the Seminoles, militias, with the help of the Cherokee and the Creeks, because Spain was in debt to the United States, Spain agreed to let go of Florida. Now, what did the Adams-Onis Treaty dictate? It dictated that the United States could have Florida. However, the United States could not expand past Texas. So the river actually was the Sabine River. They could not go past it. And with having Florida, they decided to let the debt that the Spanish owed against the United States off. Now, why were Americans upset by the treaty? And explain what a filibuster is. Many people were upset by this because many Americans believe they wanted to take Texas. Now, a filibuster, the definition back then, was a private, unauthorized military adventure. Now we are going to Missouri. Now, what was the issue admitting Missouri as a state? Missouri was initially a slave state. The 1787 Constitutional Convention stated that a free population and 60% of the slave population needed to be representative to make sure the federal tax bill was going to be paid fairly. So basically, what happened was that they took the population, was like, wait a minute, let's make sure that representation is going to meet the population, because that way they could be taxed fairly based on their population. This also stirred up controversy because Missouri was a slave state. When and why did the debate shift to morality of slavery itself? This actually was enacted by Representative New York Talmadge. He wanted to amend the state's bill with the House of Representatives. Now, the Northerners thought that slavery was immoral. And so that was a big problem of letting Missouri into the United States. Now, what were the Northern and Southern reactions to the Talmadge Amendment? Again, as I said, Northerners were supportive of the Talmadge Amendment because they thought slavery was immoral. The Southern states were for it because it would infringe on the slave owners' property rights. And with the argument of slavery apologists who claimed it was a positive good rather than a necessary evil, they said that slavery promoted wealth for a white man and let white men seek after their true talents instead of farming. So basically, they thought their true talents wasn't growing cotton, growing all tobacco. They thought it belonged to the slaves. Now, how is the Missouri Compromise outlined? That Maine would enter as a free state. Missouri would remain as a slave state. However, with the exception of Missouri, slavery could only exist south of latitude 36 and 30 degrees, except for the state of Missouri. Have a good evening.